I was abandoned at 12, erased from existence for 18 years, and at my brother's flawless wedding, I shattered their facade and found a voice they couldn't suppress. The hall fell silent as I gripped the microphone.
Countless eyes looked onto me, murmur of confusion spreading through the crowd.
My parents froze, drinks halfway to their lips. My brother, Andrew, tensed his jaw. I held up a worn photograph of a 12-year-old boy left at a roadside gas station and said, "This was me. This is what family meant when they sped off and never looked back."
Gasp pierced the quai. Emily, the bride, blinked in shock. Mi-informal.
My mother's lips parted as if to speak, but no words came, and in that moment, at my brother's picture-perfect wedding, everything they'd buried for nearly 2 decades clawed its way into the open. My name is Nathan, and I'm now 30. Some memories don't fade, they fester, growing sharper with time. I rarely speak of my childhood, not because I've forgotten, but because voicing it makes it feel too real. I'm 12 again, standing in that desolate gas station lot, clutching a candy bar I couldn't pay for, watching my parents' taillights vanish into the darkness. It was August, just before school started. We'd been on one of those forced family trips my mother insisted would bring us closer. In our home, bonding meant pretending my father's tirades were profound and my older brother Andrew's every thought was a gift to the world. I was the quiet one, too sensitive, too soft-spoken, always in the way. That day, I'd spilled a soda in the back seat. Andrew, 16 and skilled at dodging blame, smirked and said I'd done it deliberately. My father pulled into the next gas station, his eyes blazing. "You're not a kid anymore," he snapped.
Act like un adulte.
"Find your own way home." I laughed at first, thinking it was one of his cruel jokes. But then the SUV's hatch slammed shut, and they drove off. I chased them briefly, shouting their names, my voice lost in the roar of engines and tires. A gas station clerk poked his head out, cigarette dangling, eyeing me like I was just another stray. That night, I curled up behind the station's dumpster, heart pounding with every passing car. I counted the hours. 80 miles from home, no money, no phone, no one to call. The clerk brushed off my pleas for help. "Not a babysitter, kid," he muttered. I didn't cry. Something in me froze that night, the part that believed family meant something lasting. Morning came, and I found a payphone to call Ms. Helen, a teacher I trusted. She drove out to get me, her grip tightening on the steering wheel as I mumbled that my parents must have forgotten me. She didn't buy it, but didn't push. She got me home, made sure I had food, and said I could always call her. At home, no one seemed shocked when I walked in.
No apologies.
My mother glanced up from her laptop and said, "Took you long enough." Andrew, sprawled on the couch playing games, muttered, "Should have run faster." My father acted like nothing happened. At breakfast the next day, he just nodded, as if it were any other morning. That was when I stopped trying to belong. High school passed like I was invisible, eating alone, studying in silence. At 18, I left, worked 3 jobs, got through community college, then moved to a university across the country without a word to them. I changed my number, left no address, and finally started breathing freely. Over the past decade, I built a life they know nothing about. I'm a software developer now, living in a city where no one tells me to toughen up like it's a cure for pain. My friends call me steady, loyal. I adopted a rescue dog, Dusk, a skittish mutt who flinches at loud sounds. We get each other. I never expected to hear from them again. But last week, a letter arrived at my apartment. No return address, just my mother's ornate, dramatic handwriting. I opened it cautiously, half expecting a veiled threat or another jab about abandoning the family. Instead, it was a thick envelope containing Andrew's wedding invitation, gold embossed and formal, reeking of borrowed prestige and forced smiles. Tucked inside was a handwritten note. "Nathan, we know things have been distant, but Andrew's getting married, and your presence would mean a lot to the family. He asked us to reach out. We'd love to reconnect. Signed, Mom and Dad." As if they hadn't left me to fend for myself at a gas station at 12. As if Andrew wasn't the golden child whose shadow I could never escape. I stared at the note, fingers crumpling the edges, nearly tossing it out. But something stopped me. I flipped over the invitation, lavish venue, outdoor ceremony, black tie optional, even a QR code for RSVPs. Like I was just another distant cousin. Like they hadn't taught me what it means to be disposable. I read the note again. It would mean a lot to the family. Curious, because I wasn't that scared kid anymore. If they wanted me back in their story, I'd decide how it was told. I didn't RSVP right away. I started planning, quietly, methodically, the way I do everything. Some debts aren't settled with words, but in person. Showing up would be louder than anything I could say. The bride's name, Charlotte Haverford, was in elegant cursive on the invitation. I knew the type: upper middle class perfection, manicured lawns, string quartets, monogrammed napkins. The Haverfords were local elite, old money, whispered scandals. Of course Andrew won her. The charming eldest son, prom king grin, parents who wore their pride like a badge. I looked her up that night. She was exactly as expected: medical school grad, Instagram full of inspirational quotes and latte art, engagement photos straight out of a bridal magazine. One post linked to their wedding site. I clicked. Welcome to Andrew and Charlotte's big day. 3 weeks to go. Venue, Willow Creek Vineyard. Registry at Nordstrom, Williams-Sonoma, Amazon. Black tie optional. Arrive 30 minutes early. Shuttles from the guest hotel. Excited to celebrate with loved ones. Loved ones, right? There was even an Our Story section, written by Andrew, or someone paid to make him sound poetic. I've always believed in destiny, but nothing prepared me for Charlotte. Her elegance, her warmth, the way she saw the man I've become. I read that line 3 times, then remembered who Andrew was: a bully in pressed chinos, a liar with a saint's halo. The kid who pushed me into a lake at my 12th birthday and told our parents I tripped. I walked home soaked while they laughed over cake. They'd been chuckling about it for years. I wasn't going to go. Not until that line. Andrew was rewriting his past, pretending he'd left no wreckage on his way to glory. Suddenly, the people who discarded me were calling me family again. I didn't RSVP online. That was too simple. Instead, I called an old college friend, Sarah, who works in fashion, and asked for a tailored midnight blue suit, sharp enough for a red carpet. I booked a room at the fancy guest hotel listed on the site, paying up front under a slightly altered name. I wanted my arrival to be a surprise. If they were going to act like the past never happened, I'd serve them a reminder point 2 weeks before the wedding. I sent one email to the RSVP address, Charlotte's personal account, excited for the day. Please keep my attendance a surprise for the couple. Nathan. No response, but it was marked red. The week before, I cleared my calendar, got a sitter for dusk and packed light. Just the suit, polished shoes, and that faded photo of 12-year-old me outside the gas station. Backpack slung over my shoulder, face blank. Ms. Helen had taken it the morning she picked me up, later sending it to me with a note: "You made it through." I hadn't decided what to do with it. The vineyard, when I arrived the day before, looked like a film set: rolling hills, polished wood, fairy lights weaving through arches, perfect weather, perfect people. The rehearsal dinner was in full swing. I watched from a shadowed patio corner, sunglasses on, jacket over my arm. No one noticed me at first. Then I saw her, Mom, thinner than I recalled, like a balloon losing air but holding its shape. Her hair was dyed a warmer brown, almost auburn, a pearl necklace clashing with her sunburned neck. She laughed that sharp, fragile laugh that screamed she was trying too hard. Dad stood beside her, in a blazer that probably still held his old money clip, flashed to remind us who provided. His face was heavier, like life had finally pushed back. They were chatting with Charlotte's parents, grinning, shaking hands, praising Andrew in that syrupy tone that made my skin crawl. I didn't approach. Not yet. Then Andrew turned, and our eyes met for the first time in nearly 20 years. His face faltered, not enough for others to notice, but I saw it. That flicker of "why is he here?" on his polished features. He raised his glass to me, hesitated, then looked away, pretending he hadn't seen me. But he had. More importantly, he hadn't told our parents I was coming. I slipped away before the toasts, back to the hotel, heart racing, not with fear, but anticipation.
Deide invitait de me tout rejoindre the family.
I'd show them what that meant without saying a word. The wedding morning was foggy, tense.
From my hotel room stall window, I watched the mist roll over the hills like a movie scene.
I hadn't slept much, not from nerves, but from memories replaying like an old reel. Cold pavement by the gas station. Ms. Helen's tight-lipped drive.
The silence atome.
I ironed my shirt meticulously, smoothing every wrinkle like it was a wound I could erase. Then I reached for the photo, creased fading, 12-year-old me staring into nothing, fear and disbelief in my eyes. I tucked it into my jacket, close to my chest, behind a silk pocket square. The shuttle to the vineyard was crowded with strangers, cousins, old neighbors, Charlotte's college friends. They chattered about the venue, the views, the outfits. No one glanced my way. I liked it like that. Stepping off the bus, the scene had shifted. White chairs lined the lawn like chess pieces, a floral arch draped in cream roses and soft greenery. Classical music floated through the air, waiters gliding with flutes of sparkling wine. It was stunning. I stayed in the back. My parents sat up front, shaking hands with the officiant. Dad's laughed too loud, Mom clutching lilies that didn't suit her. Andrew stood to the side in a sleek tux, talking to his best man. Charlotte hadn't appeared yet. Then it happened. An older woman with silver hair and a navy gown approached, studying me before offering a warm smile. "You must be Nathan," she said. I blinked. "I am." She extended a hand. "I'm Catherine Haverford, Charlotte's mother." I straightened, shook her hand. "Thank you for coming," she said, her eyes curious. "Andrew mentioned you might show." My defenses spiked. "He mentioned me?" She nodded, her smile tightening. "He said there's been some distance, but he hoped this could be a step toward healing." I nearly laughed but didn't. "He's hopeful," I said instead. She gave an awkward smile. "Well, welcome. Let me know if you need anything." I watched her walk off, heels sinking slightly into the grass. So Andrew had told Charlotte's family but not ours. Telling. The ceremony began like any other, soft music, guests shifting in seats, the officiant clearing his throat. Charlotte appeared, radiant, flawless, drawing a collective breath from the crowd. She glided down the aisle to gentle claps. Andrew stood under the arch, a king awaiting his crown. I watched from the back, silent. The vows were standard, the laughter polite. I do-s traded like tokens. Then the kiss, the cheers, and they were wed. The ceremony began like any other, soft music, guests shifting in seats, the officiant clearing his throat. Charlotte appeared, radiant, flawless, drawing a collective breath from the crowd. She glided down the aisle to gentle claps. Andrew stood under the arch, a king awaiting his crown. I watched from the back, silent. The vows were standard, the laughter polite. I do-s traded like tokens. Then the kiss, the cheers, and they were wed. The reception was where it all unraveled. Held in a glass-walled hall overlooking the vineyard, chandeliers gleamed like frozen rain. Tables boasted orchids and floating candles, place cards in elegant script. Mine was missing. I approached my parents' table, where an empty chair sat, labeled for family. Mom's eyes flicked to me. "Oh, you came," she said, sipping wine, barely rising. "Apparently," I replied. Dad said nothing, his face unreadable, leaning back like I was a puzzle he didn't want to solve. "No place card for me," I said calmly.
Mom shrugged.
"Must be an error. Maybe you're at another table. We didn't do the seating." "Sure you didn't." I glanced around, tables full, laughter everywhere. Then I saw Andrew across the room with Charlotte and two men in tuxes. He spotted me, didn't smile, and walked over. "Hey," he said, voice low. "Good you made it." "No thanks to you," I shot back. He sighed. "Look, I didn't think you'd actually show. I figured you'd see the invite, toss it, and move on like always." My jaw tightened. "You invited me." "I asked Mom and Dad to," he said. "That's not the same." I stared at him, tanned, polished, a man who'd never paid for anything in pain or silence. "I came to see if you remembered," I said quietly.
Remember what?
I didn't answer, just pulled the photo from my jacket and held it up. His eyes flicked to it, then to me, then back. He swallowed. "That was ages ago." "Yeah," I said. "You never said a word. Never told them to turn back. Never checked if I made it home." He glanced around, wary. "Of eavesdroppers. Nathan, it was a bad night. You were always so dramatic. I thought you'd moved on." "I have," I said, something in me steadying. "I'm not here to wreck your day. Relax." He gave a hollow chuckle. "Good. But I'm staying for the speeches." His eyes searched mine, unsure if I was bluffing. I wasn't. Revenge is quiet, precise, and I had a toast they'd never forget. The lights dimmed as servers cleared plates. Guests buzzed with champagne, some lounging, others swaying to a jazz quartet in the corner. Andrew and Charlotte sat at the head table, their names in gold behind them. Everything sparkled: glasses, forks, people. A man in a pale suit tapped his glass. The room hushed. "Time for words from those closest to the couple," he said. Polite claps followed. Charlotte's father spoke first, his voice polished, warm, recounting her childhood, her dreams, the day she met Andrew. He joked that Andrew was so charming, they didn't notice he was aiming high. Laughter rippled. The best man, Andrew's college buddy, went next, light, funny, tales of frat days, Andrew's bad cooking, how lucky he was to land Charlotte. Standard, heartfelt, safe. Then the MC glanced at his list. And now, Nathan with a special toast. The room stilled. My parents froze mid-sip. Andrew's jaw locked. Charlotte blinked, confused. I stood, walked to the mic, ignoring the restless shifting. Whispers started. I tapped the mic, it echoed. "Good evening," I said, voice steady. "I'm Nathan, Andrew's younger brother." Heads turned, murmurs growing. "He has a brother?" "I wasn't sure I'd be here," I continued. "I debated it for weeks. I haven't spoken to my family in 18 years." Silence, heavy, suffocating. An invitation arrived out of the blue, no call, no email, just a card saying it'd mean a lot to the family if I came. I paused, pulling the photo from my pocket. This is me at 12. I held it up, guests straining to see. Taken the morning after my parents left me at a gas station 80 miles from home. I'd spilled a drink in the car, and instead of grounding me, they drove off, telling me to figure it out. The crowd shifted, glasses clinking softly. They didn't come back, didn't call. I slept by a dumpster. A teacher got me home the next day. No one apologized. Until that invite, I thought they were fine pretending I didn't exist.
Il glanced at my parents.
Dad's face was ashen, Mom's mouth slightly open, searching for words that didn't come. "I'm not here to ruin your night," I said.
Charlotte, you seem keen.
"Your family's been welcoming. Andrew, you've always known how to put on a good show." That landed hard, his face cracked briefly. But weddings are about truth, and it wouldn't be honest to stand here pretending we were ever close, or that I grew up in a home where family meant safety, not survival. The room was silent, breaths held. I was invited to fit into this perfect day, a brother-shaped prop. I looked at Andrew.
"So here's my gift to you."
I set the photo on the head table before him. A reminder of what family looks like when you turn away. I stepped back from the mic, leaving stunned silence and a few sharp gasps. As I passed my parents' table, Mom hissed my name, Dad half-rising, but I didn't stop or look back.
He walked out into the cold night, music fading behind me.
I wasn't angry or trembling. I was free. But freedom doesn't always bring peace right away. Sometimes it just leaves quiet, making you wonder what's next. I'd made my move, and the fallout was still coming. The ride back to the hotel was silent. No jazz, no clinking glasses, just tires on gravel and my thoughts humming. I didn't go to my room but wandered a vineyard trail, vines dark under a starry sky. With each step, the weight in my chest eased. I could still hear Mom's sharp whisper, see Andrew's polished mask crack, feel the crowd's confused stares. I'd been a ghost to my family, but tonight I proved I was real, flesh, blood, and memory. And memory is dangerous when others bank on forgetting. Back at the hotel, a voicemail waited from an unknown number. "Nathan, it's Charlotte." Her voice was low, steady, but edged. I don't know what I expected, but not that. I wish I'd known. "I'm not mad at you for speaking out. You earned that."
"I'm sorry."
She hung up, no callback number. The first apology in 18 years, and not from my family. I left the next morning, no breakfast, no goodbyes, just an email to the desk canceling my stay and settling the bill. I didn't stick around to see their reaction. They'd either deny it or call it a misunderstanding. But the photo stayed on that table. I kept the suit, ditched the tie, and went home. Back in my apartment, Dusk greeted me with eager barks and a wagging tail. Then people started reaching out. My cousin Lila messaged me on LinkedIn, saying she'd heard about the speech from a wedding guest and was sorry for never asking where I'd gone. She'd always found it odd that my name vanished, but felt it wasn't her place to question. We chatted, and she asked to visit. I didn't agree, but I didn't refuse. Ms. Helen wrote, saying she remembered, still had the photo. I always wondered about you, Nathan. I'm so proud. I hadn't cried in years, but that night I did, quiet, like exhaling after holding my breath too long. I started sleeping better, waking earlier, finding a new rhythm. Work felt lighter, my code sharper. I took Dusk on longer walks, started writing. Stories, essays, anything to shape the chaos in my mind. A week later, an email came from a woman at a nonprofit for abandoned or estranged kids. She'd heard about my speech through a friend of a friend and called it the most quietly powerful thing she'd known. She asked if I'd speak at their retreat, not as a motivational guru, but as someone who'd lived it. I said yes. One talk became 2, then 4, then a panel at a university conference on family estrangement and healing. I didn't wear the suit, just a shirt, pants, sometimes a blazer. But I always brought the photo, told the story plainly, no embellishment. Each time, someone would approach me after, saying, "That happened to me too." I wasn't alone. I never had been. My voice, once called too soft, too fragile, had found its strength. It wasn't revenge, not exactly, but power. And with every person I helped, every story I heard, every hand I shook, that power grew, not anger but clarity, certainty. Andrew went back to his wife, his polished image, unaware of the ripples I'd started or that I wasn't done. Because someone from their side would soon come looking for answers. Charlotte emailed again, not polite or polished this time, but raw. "Nathan, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Did your parents really abandon you at 12? I asked Andrew, and he didn't deny it, just said it's complicated. But your story was clear, like you've carried a weight forever. If it's true, I need more. Please." I stared at the email. She could have brushed it off as drama, called me bitter. But she wanted the truth, and I wouldn't waste it. I replied, laying it out, no theatrics, just facts, the gas station, the silence at home, surviving school, how they erased me. I didn't blame her or pick sides, just gave her the truth and let it sit. She responded the next day. "I believe you. I need time to process. They never told me. Andrew said he was an only child until we got engaged. They erased you, and now I wonder what else they've rewritten. Can we meet for coffee, just us?" It was like a crack in a flawless window. I didn't push, just said I'd meet on her terms. We met a week later at a quiet cafe 2 towns from her and Andrew's place. She wore no makeup, no pearls, just a hoodie and jeans, eyes puffy like she hadn't slept. She didn't say hello, just asked, what else did they do? So I told her, not every small slight, but the big ones. Mom forgetting my birthday twice, blaming me for not reminding her. Dad refusing a small loan, saying I'd waste it, while handing Andrew thousands for a vacation. She clutched her mug, asked questions, listened without defending them. Andrew said you ran off as a teen, that you were dramatic, a ghost, she said. I laughed, not out of humor, but because ghost was so fitting. They didn't lose a son, I said. They buried one. She went quiet, then leaned in. What scares me most? What if they do this to our kids someday? The shift had happened, and Andrew didn't know. Charlotte stood, said she needed time, thanked me, and wasn't ready to face him yet. She'd be in touch. 3 days later, a letter came, no return address, my father's jagged handwriting. "Nathan, I don't know what you're doing, but this isn't helping. You're shaming the family. Let it go, or there'll be consequences. We gave you a chance to come back. Don't make us regret it. No sorry, no remorse, just a threat dressed as pride." I sat with it, then placed it beside the photo, 2 relics of their legacy. I smiled, scanned the letter, saved it to 2 cloud drives, and called a journalist I'd met at a trauma panel. "If you ever want to tell your story, I'll help you do it right," she'd said. She picked up on the first ring. "I'm ready," I told her, "but I